now?
I gotta order some more. I gotta get some more in.
See, Dion will show everybody up. He'll walk everybody into the vault.
Dion.
He's connecting to audio. What's up, Suze?
What's up,
Brother Troy? What's good, guy?
Dion, what's good?
How you feel?
I'm great, man. How about you?
I'm great. I ain't complaining at all.
You in LA, Dion?
I'm in LA.
Nice. We're waiting on a few others, then we'll jump right in.
Okay. I never did this Zoom thing before.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused. I'm trying to see how exactly it works.
If you go
Welcome to the new world, Dion. This is
I know.
This is life now.
This is research for me.
If you go to the top right of your screen, there is a speaker view that's like a grid of all the panelists, and then there's a panel view which will zoom on the face of the person who's speaking.
So I see.
Personally, like the
Suzy,
grid.
you wait until day 3 to tell me this, right?
Okay, wait a minute. So let me see. I'm on my phone. So wait a minute. What do I do?
Phone.
Maybe I should get on the computer, huh?
Gallery view. Yeah, I think it's gallery view is default on the phone, right? You see gallery view?
Let's see. I don't know what I see. A more virtual background, raise hand. Somebody texted me and said, get on the computer, man.
Mastered the MPC 360 and can't do Zoom. Huh?
Well, that's good. I don't need to see everybody. I'm good.
Rose.
Rose.
What's cracking?
Rose.
Jeff just texted me that Gabby is on. I can't see her though.
Does Gabby have the right ID? Hey, Rose.
Hey.
What's up, Rose?
Not much. Sorry, it was a little learning curve.
You good?
Pink, they got your government name up there. Your social security.
Hey, man. It's out there. Everybody know now.
DJ, what's cracking?
Good.
Just waiting for Gabby and Rodney. And then for speakers, once we start the conference, if everybody could go on mute until you talk, and that way there's no feedback in the background as well. And then the way we're going to do the format is going to be questions that some I'm just going to pose to the group. So if you guys have any feedback, anything, definitely feel free to chime in. Some's going to be directed at individuals, but the way we've been doing it is just kind of letting it flow. And then at the end, we've been leaving it open for questions from the audience.
Got it.
So she's just trying to figure it out. I think she's on here or trying to get on here. Her is just trying to figure it out.
And she definitely has the right ID.
It sounds like it. Jeff is texting us on a group text right now.
Hey Jay, we got ETA on Rodney.
He's trying to get in now.
Okay.
Maria, I'm putting you guys on text. Rodney is calling me. Hey, what's up, Rodney?
I think what might have happened, they might have not clicked on the link.
Phone, he's saying he can't get in. I just put you guys on text together, Maria. Maria's gonna hit you with, trying to get you in right now.
We can answer a couple questions while we're waiting. I see D just posted, I'm a singer-songwriter from Houston. Do you guys think it's a good investment for upcoming artists to do music videos? I've been spending a lot on music videos for the past couple of years and want to make sure it's still beneficial. What do you think, Jay?
I'm sorry, I was trying to get them on the.
You're doing customer service?
Yeah, I was doing customer service. I'm the IT guy right now. The worst person to have doing it too.
D was asking, is it worth it for independent artists to invest in music videos?
Absolutely. I mean, music videos have been a phenomenal tool for us. I think Pink Sweats, who's on, had his first video was amazing, and it was one of those sticky tools that was used to really help kind of break him in early days and really kind of set the bar for all of his videos to come, but certainly was in conjunction with the music, like having that video was super important to our rollout with it. And we had some hard conversations about the video too. I don't know, Pink, if you want to get into that, but yeah, we definitely had some difficult in the beginning.
Yeah, it was hard because like just having my own like idea, and then also I was rushing at first because it was like the song was kind of doing what it was doing. I just kind of wanted to move quickly, and then it was like,
Yo, Rodney.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rodney.
I just wanted to get in the Hollywood squares too, you know what I mean?
Just set us all down with studio equipment. You know.
RJ, are you
Yeah,
at
we working,
Guitar
we
Center right
working.
now, RJ?
Say what?
Are you at Guitar Center right now?
Yeah, hey man, when nobody was there, so I robbed them.
So, Maria, while we wait on her, we got an ETA yet? Should we wait, Ryan, or jump in?
She's still trying. I think potentially we may be, hold on, let's just wait like 2 minutes, and then if we can't get her, she'll just join after.
Okay, perfect.
Suzy.
I might be the only one competing with you on the old equipment, Rodney.
Oh, you got some jewels?
Oh, I got it. I'm holding.
Okay, we need to exchange. We need to go check each other's stuff out.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to have to turn my computer to the left and to the right real quick either. You know.
Listen. You can't scare me. That's what I'm gonna tell you.
Okay. I'm in my B room, by the way.
Okay, listen.
No, I'm not in the A room. Just so you know, I'm not in the A room.
I'm in my B room with the books.
Oh, okay.
I collect them too.
Hey, you see the piano over there?
I see that.
There's 5 more of them in the house.
That's impressive.
Just for the kids though. The kids, man, they gotta have pianos all around around before they can play. You know what I mean? So they can play around.
I'm gonna tell you.
They go, Gab.
I got a C room. It's for me.
I'm coming to see it.
And it's all analog, no computers. That's all you need to know.
I love that.
Okay, I'm here.
How you doing?
Perfect.
Hey.
Great. So, Maria, you want to kick it off? All of the panelists will go on mute and then kind of jump in from there.
Perfect. Thanks, Troy. Hey, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the panel. I'm excited to have such a lovely group of writers, producers, and artists all alike here today. Just a quick note, you're going to be posting in the chat right now our new Slack channel. So if you go to the Q&A.LA website, you'll be able to click on the Slack logo and actually be able to talk to each other after the panel. If anyone has any technical issues, please hit me directly. And also please abide by the rules in the chat. Just, all love and community building today. So we'll continue to keep it going. If you have any questions throughout the chat, please upvote them in the Q&A section. That'll be right in your monitor, right at the bottom left, second to the participants area. Also, we'll be posting a few polls that we'll publish right now. If you have any other questions during this time, post in the Q&A section, not the chat, but enjoy yourselves. And Troy, I'll kick it off to you.
Great. Thanks everybody who's joining us today. And if this is your first time here this week, welcome. It's been all love and great vibes all week. You know, a lot of us were just kind of stuck in the house trying to figure out, you know, how to communicate with people and how to get our arms around people. And it's just a way for us to really bring people together and talk about what we love. That's music, that's community, and the ability to share ideas. You know, first of all, we want to just send love and blessings to everybody that's suffering throughout the world right now. We also want to send love and blessings to all of the people on the front line, healthcare workers and first responders and people putting their lives on the line. And then, you know, every day we just been saying special prayers and blessings to our friend Lucian Grange, who's suffering from coronavirus right now, and just wishing him and his family the best throughout this ordeal. And then, you know, if anybody just feels the urge, just being able to continue to support musicians in need, just donate at Music Cares for musicians that are in need right now. Today is super special. You know, this week we had, you know, some music executives on. We also had managers on yesterday, and really dove into some really great conversation. Today's really special because it's really about the people who make our business tick, and people who inspire the world, and the memories around the songs that they give us, and they express lyrics that we aren't able to express, feelings we aren't able to express for ourselves sometimes. And so just a very, very impressive group. Rodney, I've known since he was 15 years old at Sigma Sound Studios in Philly, and we've come up together, and Grammy Award winning producer. We have another Philly native here who's just carrying on the legacy right now, Pink Sweats, who's an amazing artist. We have Nija, who's a friend of the family, brought to us by our good friend Ryan Press, who's just an incredible songwriter and producer. We have the Baby Rose, who's just a voice of her generation, and who's just super inspiring, just watching her cut through. We have Tay Keith here as well, who's just crushing it right now in music, and doing records with Travis and Drake, and just one impressive guy. I think the most impressive stat is, as he was building up all of these big records, he decided to stay in school and get his degree while he was doing it. So really impressive guy. We have the legendary No ID here, who's just Grammy Award winning, and not just an incredible producer, but just an incredible guy who I've been able to build with and learn from, and watch his career and be inspired. And we have one of my favorite artists in the world, H.E.R, who I've been watching from the very beginning, and begging Peter Edge to send me SoundCloud links just so I could hear what you were up to before the record was out. And then coming back is Ryan Press, from president of A&R at Warner Chappell, who's joined us all week and has been an incredible contributor. We have our co-founder of Q&A and president of Q&A, Suzy Ryoo. We have our partner and CEO of Human Resources, J Erving. And then moderating the panel and making sure that all goes well is our marketing guru and digital strategist for Q&A and Human Resources, Maria. So just thank you all for joining today. One of the things, you know, I wanted to do before we get started is just really just check in and seeing just where you guys at, how are you guys handling just, you know, shelter at home and just what's happening in the world right now. Just how are you doing? How is it impacting you personally? And then with you guys, how's it impacting you guys creatively as well? Let's kick it off with her.
Hey everyone, thanks for letting me join in the conversation. I'm feeling all right. Honestly, it's been kind of hard to get inspired. It was in the beginning, I would say, like it's been almost 2 weeks or something. And I think the first week, I like to pull from experience and pull from the things around me, and everything around me was just fear and all the talk about this virus and getting mixed information, and it was like bringing the energy down. But I thought about how blessed I am and just being able to have that time to like sit with myself and like turn off my phone and not look at social media and what everybody's talking about, not looking at the news and what's going on, and just kind of getting back to myself. When I take that moment, it kind of gave me that like spark, and because I had so much time on my hands, I kind of encouraged myself to teach myself new things, whether it was, producing or just stuff I never bothered to try before, maybe because I think, oh, it's too time consuming or something. I actually was like, now I have the time to sit down and do it. So just taking advantage of it, honestly.
Nice. And yet, everybody in your family safe and healthy?
Yeah, everybody's healthy, everybody's fine, they're staying inside. California's like crazy right now. There's like barricades in certain cities and like cops outside. Like it's nuts, but my mom works in a hospital, so I just pray that she gets home safe every day, and that there's, nothing that can happen since she's in a hospital.
Sending her the best. How about you, Rose?
All right. Oh, figured it out. I would say that, I agree with her, and all of the creativity really comes from the present moment, and like all of the things that are going on are, it's kind of scary. It's a really weird time right now. Like, I've always been kind of more of an introvert, but it's different when you know that everybody else is like being told to stay inside, and all of the things going on in the news and stuff like that with the virus. So I'm just trying to like stay centered and stay balanced in the midst of it all, and really just use this as time to really kind of grow, learn something new, and stay really close with my family as we're kind of separated, which is strange, but yeah, for sure.
How about you, Pink?
Man, I mean, honestly, it was like a good slowdown thing for me. Just like being able to call all my loved ones, check in on everybody, like just become human, because like the industry, sometimes you just like keep going. So like, and then like being in grocery stores, you just realize like how blessed you are, and like being able in certain instances to help somebody else. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy. But creatively, it's been smooth. I've been trying to like make like songs just about like being good to each other, stuff like that, or just just finding that inner self, like people just like remembering that everybody is a human being. Like literally, times like this just bring us all to like this humbling level.
For sure. Nija, how you doing over there in Glendale right now?
I'm good. I'm with Pink on this one. Like, it was definitely a big slowdown for me, just because like the past couple of months, like I've been working day and night. So the coronavirus definitely allowed me to become human. Like I started cooking and stuff. But it's kind of worrisome because, all my family is on the East Coast.
What are you cooking over there?
What'd you say?
Say, what are you cooking over there?
I made some chili. I FaceTimed my grandmother. I made some chili and some cabbage and some rice. So I've been whipping it up, But all my family's on the East Coast, and my sister told me like her school shut down, and there's a case of corona like within my small town. So it's a little worrisome about that. But other than that, it's been cool.
Nice. Hey, Rodney, what you doing over there? How's everything over in your
Oh man, I feel so good, man. I feel real good. You know, despite all of what's going on, like the way I see the way I always see things is that, you know, whenever there's disaster, there's also opportunity. And sometimes you can't get so stuck and focus on the things that bug us, like fear and anxiety and worry and all those different things. But what's happened is I feel like we're stripped down to independent, right? So when, you know, I take myself back to being 12, 13 years old in the crib with crates and records, and you digging trying to find sounds, and you digging and trying to find where you want to, you know, make your footprint in the music industry. That's where we're at again. So it allows us producers, songwriters, artists to not be distracted by all the things of what's going on outside, but to center our focus and be like, yo, now it's simplified again. You know what I mean? I don't have to really, all I can do is create. There's nothing in the way. There's not 1,000 emails flying through the way it was 3-4 weeks ago. So I love this moment, man. It's like a moment to really like get back into a really creative zone. And I think this time, I believe that in this time, in this season is where greatness will be birthed, because I think everyone is at the same place. We're all on even playing field right now. So when you're like that, you can pull from what's going on out there and put it into your creative art.
Everybody don't have all of them toys you got in the back though.
You don't have to have it. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever floats your boat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, not everybody had like your dad. Like not everybody had the rim with the net. Some people just had the trash can. You know what I'm saying? And they went outside and they shot shots on the trash can and they developed their skills on the trash can. So whatever you got, you use it to best of your ability.
Dion said that's not even real equipment in the back. He said that's wallpaper.
Y'all cloudy.
That's true.
How you doing over there, Dion?
I'm great. Yeah, I think for me, it was a good slowdown. I think a lot of my ability to keep going over all the years has been my ability to maintain a perspective that music is not life. And if you really take time to really appreciate life and live it, you know, it'll give you good stories for your art. So, you know, part of being an executive kind of took away from my life time. And it was more, you know, working, day job, creative job at night. And, you know, the more you begin to split that up, it's just less experience, less rest, less reflection, less absorbing the moment. So this was like a blessing for me to just be able to stop for a minute and think about what I want to do, how I want to do it, at what rate do I want to do it. And, you know, another thing is I don't think I've ever looked backwards to see where I've come from. I've just been going 30 years, you know, and sometimes it's good to stop and go, okay, did you go in the direction you want to go? Do you want to adjust what you're doing? Do you want to, what else do you want to accomplish? So it's a blessing. It's a hard time for so many people. But then again, you know, hard times bring about character and compassion, empathy. And, you know, that's really what we as artists are supposed to be able to inspire at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's so much easier, like, to take the slowdown when everybody's slowing down at the same exact time. It's like it kind of removes a little bit of the anxiety away from it.
Yeah, I agree.
Tay, how you doing over there?
That was good. So, you know, I kind of feel like this a time is like humbling for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's kind of like the world just at a standstill right now. So I've been pretty much just at the house, just like expanding my creative process, working on new stuff, and most importantly, I just been listening to a lot of new music and a lot of new artists. You know what I'm saying? Just like finding, just artists who probably just not just getting heard or whatnot. Just a lot of underground music I've been checking out, just listening to, and I just kind of been doing that the past 3 days. So, nothing too serious, just at the house, cooking up and just really listening to new artists.
Dope. So I got an interesting question for the lyricists on the panel today. What's your favorite lyric that you've ever written and why? And then part 2 is if there was a lyric from another artist or song that you wish you would have written, what would it be?
Interesting.
And then for my producers, what song do you wish you would have, what's your favorite song you've ever produced? And then what song do you wish you would have produced? Somebody jump in.
Nija, jump in, Nija.
Too hard.
I'm thinking right now. I'm trying to think. Hold on. Give me like 30 more seconds.
That's too hard to answer.
Yo, Troy, what was the first question?
I said, what's your favorite lyric that you've ever written and why? And which lyric do you wish you would have written, or a song you wish you would have written?
My favorite lyric that I've written was "Baby, I'm afraid to fall in love." And one of the favorite lyrics that I wish I wrote. Ordinary People. I don't know why. I always just wish I wrote the whole song. I always thought that John Legend's Ordinary People. I think Neo wrote that.
will.i.am.
will.i.am wrote that?
will.i.am wrote that record.
Yeah, I always wish that I wrote that song. I thought it was a good song. And my favorite song I produced is shameless plug right here. 17, my song is out now. Why? I was like making that song when I didn't have any of that stuff in my life. I was like just like writing my life in existence and like my love life, I guess. So I was like in the trap, just working hard, studio for like weeks. And then I wrote like a love song, which I definitely wasn't in love at that time, but it was just like manifestation, I guess.
Nice. Nija, your 30 seconds are up.
But my favorite lyric that I wrote, I would have to say is "Pray for the Vows," and the B and Jay-Z song for Love Happy. I guess the reason for that is because like I just feel like that line to me is just so strong, especially like talking about their relationship. They spoke about their trials and tribulations, so just praying for the promises that they made, I felt like was, it was touching to me. And the song that I wish I would have written, I would say, is Novocaine by Frank Ocean, because like that was the first time that like a song really moved me, especially like with the lyrics and how he made Novocaine a metaphor. I just thought it was so smart.
That was a real good one.
Come on, what's up, H.E.R?
Okay.
Pink,
really hard. I think my favorite lyric is something that is like always, it's a lyric that's always in the back of my mind. And I never released this song. I perform it sometimes. It's this lyric. I said, "A broken heart's the hardest thing to fix." And it keeps like applying to so many situations in my life, and I think a lot of people around me. We're continuing. We always have to continue to heal. Based on the past, the present. Like we're always trying to find ways to heal and cope people, you know, have many things that make them feel fulfilled and make them feel not broken. That's probably why that's my favorite line. Yeah, I'm probably gonna release that song soon. I'm not sure, but the song I wish I wrote. There's a few of those actually. I wish I wrote 17 Deliveries by Prince. I heard the version of doing it at the piano, and he's like talking, and it's like a demo. And it is just so powerful, and it's so simple, but it is just.
Can Pink mute his phone? Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry, Her. Can you finish? Pink, we couldn't hear you.
Oh yeah, no, I was saying my favorite song, or the song that I wish I wrote, was 17 Days by Prince, but like or Purple Rain. I wish I wrote Purple Rain, but who else would write Purple Rain? It just doesn't happen. 17 Days, it's like this live version on the piano and microphone Prince album that was just released recently. I love that song. It's so simple, but so meaningful.
Amazing. What about you, Rose?
So, a song that I wish that I wrote, there's two. I wish I wrote Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I know. That's one of my favorite songs. And I wish I wrote Like a Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. It's just one of my favorite songs, and I feel like I would be able to put into words what I want to tell my friends, like, during this time and shit. Like, you know, I'm here for you no matter what. My favorite lyric that I've written would probably be, I pick the pieces up and come back running every time you make it easy. That's on my song Mortal. I think that just explains, you know, how I feel about love and, you know, in general. So, yeah. Was there another part to the question? I don't know.
That's a little bit of a mic drop.
Man, I have no clue what my favorite record I produced is, but I'll just roll with. I used to love it only because of the way it inspired me to keep going and doing music at a time where I had no clue what I was doing, you know, as far as trying to make a career. And it was just the first time I felt any type of real reaction to inspire me. And just, I think it's just kind of held us on, you know, throughout time. A lot of records, some records do great, and then some records don't age well. I think it aged well from my perspective. I always appreciate it when I hear it. And then the record I wish I produced was probably, it's a lot, but I'm gonna go with Stevie Wonder as. I wish I produced that record.
That's a real one. RJ.
Oh man. I would probably, for me, I think it would, my producing wise, probably Say My Name, just because of how I got there. By Destiny's Child. It was actually a completely different track they recorded to that everybody hated. And then when we mixed the record, when we went to the mix down, I walked in the room, I was like, yo, this joint whack. And I told the engineer to pull it all down, strip it down to its bare bones, the acapella, and then I reproduced it the day of the mix. And, you know, 9 million singles later and a Grammy later, you know what I mean? Like, it's still my, like, just to know that story, just how it happened, is still it still holds dear to me. I wished I produced, I know this sounds really crazy and weird, but I really wish I produced like Happy Birthday. I wish there was production to Happy Birthday. And I wished I produced it because it's the
You just
most
want all the
sang
money
song
in
of
the
all
world,
time.
right? You
No,
want all the money in the world.
I'm just serious though. It's the most sang song in the world. Can you imagine if there was production to it and you couldn't hear it without the production? Like that would be insane. Like, so that for me, and if it ain't that, then it's any Quincy Jones record, you know, that he did from 82 and before. I don't care if it's Sanford and Son theme song or Fly Me to the Moon, anything Quincy did.
I want to produce the ABCs if that's the case.
There you go. See what I mean?
What about you, Tay?
I would say like the best, well, my favorite record that I produced would probably be Before I Let Go. On the simple fact that besides like how, you know, like it was connected to the culture, you know, just like well-rounded, like just from like the kids to the grandparents to the aunties. And, you know, I just feel like there was a well-connected song. But besides that, I feel like it kind of showed like the industry, how versatile it was, you know. The song that I say that I wanted to produce would probably be Gucci Mane, Lemonade. I just always like the melody on that song, you know. I just felt like it was one of those records that, you know, if I could make it, I would have, you know.
Nice. I want to switch gears for a second and just talk about like sort of the business of songwriting and creativity. And there's been a ton of changes over like the last few years, and we're seeing like these trends starting to shift. One of them that's like a super hot topic right now, like art creators and songwriters that are selling their catalogs right now. And, you know, we're seeing these big funds come in and sort of buy up publishing rights. It's like before it was so taboo for people to part ways with catalogs, and now it seems, you know, pretty regular. We're seeing deals pop up every week. Like, what do you guys think about this current trend? Is it something that, like, is anybody super religious about holding on to copyrights, or do you guys just kind of look at it as it's just business?
It's business. You know, after you've been in the game 25 plus years and you're still doing it, you should be able to keep building new copyrights. So I look at it as, you know, it's an asset. You build the asset up, and then if you get the right, you know, value for it, if you get the right multiple for it rather, then you should be able to move and do it again and again and again. You know what I mean? I know people who cherish it and never sell it. And then I know other people who have sold it 3-4 times. You know what I mean? And that just means they had a career that was like this and kept going. And so it just depends. Like, everybody sees it differently. But I look at it as it's an asset. You know, it's no different from a home. You know, I love my home. But if somebody came right now with the right multiple, I'll be moving right next to you, Troy.
Yeah.
I want to jump in because I'm in the middle of a sale. And Ryan told me, don't do it. And I agree with what Rodney said on the asset side. I also, you know, I also have a different perspective as I watch the business evolve, and I began to value the master side and the point side a little more as I see how these deals break down and realize, like, you know, a lot of times these deals the companies do for these catalogs are not in favor of the writers. When you really look at how much pie gets split for the writers. So for me, it's about, you know, I consulted one of my richest friends, and
Jay-Z.
I'm not saying.
Everybody's richest friend, by the way.
Yeah.
You got
And,
friends,
you know,
Jay-Z is your friend group. He's your richest friend, probably.
okay. Well, that. And, you know, we agreed that, you know, at the end of the day, any great asset that you could pass down in your family is a great asset. I think part of the mentality that we have inherited has been from people who lived in a physical distribution world where they had no access to any type of revenue other than the publishing. So it became the most important thing to hold on to. But with the wide open, you know, market right now, there's so many different ways that you can obtain assets on your art and, you know, build a diverse enough catalog as a human that, you know, it's just a different time. And I think it calls for a different perspective.
Hey, Troy, you should give us your opinion, because Troy was the first person I called about this 3-4 years ago. He came over my house about this topic right here, because I think Troy, you know,
my second richest friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Beyonce might be your second richest friend.
Well, you should let them know your opinion on this.
You know, I'm not. The way I feel about it is, it depends on what you're gonna do with the money. And, you know, if you can treat your catalog as an annuity and it becomes like this sort of an asset that sort of spits off cash every year that you can sort of rely on and become dependent, you would have people on Wall Street that are jealous. And that's why they're buying and investing in these catalogs, because they see the consistent output, right? But if you can take the money from the catalog and invest it in other places and make more money and stretch it out over over a long period of time, then there's a lot of value in selling the catalog, and especially as you're getting these high multiples, because, you know, we don't know how long these multiples are going to be around for. You know, it's you know, some of the deals that we hear about are incredible deals that you could pass the money along to your kids, by the way. So so I think it's, you know, kind of looking at what your long-term strategy is around what do you do with the asset versus what do you do with the cash. And then and to your point, you know, you made about other songwriters is, you know, that have sold 4 times or so. If you're talented, you're going to build new assets along the way as well, a new catalog along the way. So and I rather see the creatives find a way to capture the value and really build wealth than just, you know, some of the publishers. And no offense to publishers, press. But even a question for you though, Ryan, how do you look at it, and especially when you have like non-music industry money that's coming in writing crazy checks, and like I know you're somebody who genuinely cares about songwriters, dedicated your career to songwriters, you're in it with them every day. Like, how do you compete with like new money in the marketplace?
It's tough. You know, I think for starters, this is not a brand new model. This has been going on, you know, as long as, you know, the music business existed, and actually a popular thing in Nashville. This has been like a Nashville style of doing business. You build up one catalog, you sell it, then you do a go forward deal. As Dion was saying, you build it up again, or Rodney was saying, then you sell it again. So that model has been going on in the Nashville business forever. And I just think the rest of, you know, LA, New York, and the rest of the world are now adapting to that model. I think, you know, I agree with a lot of things you said as well, too. My heart hurts for when people are doing these catalog sales, and let's just say they're used to earning, let's just call it $100,000 a year, sell it for a multiple, and then have no idea what to do with the money when they have it. And then in a year or so are back in the same position before they actually sold it, you know, before they actually sold the catalog. So I agree with you with if you know what to do with the money when you do sell the catalog, then we're having a very different conversation. And if you're still an active songwriter, producer, and still working. So it's a different answer to the question for different people. You know, I will say on the flip side, they aren't buying up a ton of catalogs right now for no reason. We won't know the answer to this test for maybe 10 years from now, but the people that are buying these catalogs, they're not stupid. So a lot of writers and producers think that they're running something on somebody, like, hey, they're just throwing these multiples around, and you know, they're just, you know.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because
Sure.
I think it's healthy to have that conversation. I mean, in my opinion, I think when you look at, you know, you guys, Jay and Troy and Suzy, you guys know the streaming world better than all of us. But the way I see it, you know, there's markets that are untapped. When we think of the 7+ billion people in the world, how many actual people are streaming total right I would probably think probably under 300-400 million, under 300 million, under 400 million. So if that was the case, let's just say 5% of the world was streaming right now, right? Let's say 5% of the world was streaming. That means there's a huge opportunity over the next 20 years in growth. So I think some of those big, you know, money players look at that and say, whoa, I mean, we just not even touching the surface of what streaming is right now. You still got emerging markets like Africa, India, and China, and so many different markets. So I think they're looking at the runway over the next 10 to 15 years, and they see growth. I mean, Netflix has 800+ million subscribers.
The only area like where, you know, I'd be concerned is if you look at the drop off over eras in streaming. So it's like, you know, 30s music, 40s music, 50s music, 60s music, like, you know, so it's, you know, it's a very frontline driven business, you know, and so just figuring out, like, you know, when Dion was saying earlier about songs aging well, you know, so as more people come online, are the catalogs that are being bought today gonna hold that type of value over that 10, 15 year period? Or, and because one of the things that we saw is how important local content is in foreign territories. So when, you know, and you go to Russia, you go to Netherlands, you go to Brazil, you go to these different places, and even UK, and you see how heavy hip hop artists are, but their own local hip hop artists. You know, so so just figuring out how the catalogs now are gonna translate and keep value, which I don't know if any of us have the answer to it today, but it's definitely gonna it's gonna be interesting. Just on the subject of business and kind of and switching gears for a sec there, like just kind of seeing like with H.E.R, like you're very in control of your career. Like this has grown at your pace. You can see, you know, clearly who's behind the wheel, and that nothing's manufactured. You know, I look at Nija with what you built. There's not a lot of female hip hop, female producers, period. And then urban music overall is, you know, we look at all the, basically it's been built as a male dominated sport essentially. You know, we look, Rose, you own your own masters, which, you know, is unheard of. And, you know, for an artist starting off to own your own masters. And then Suze, you are a founder of a music technology company, president of the company. Just looking at like what women have been able to do within our space. Like, I guess, what advice would you give to sort of artists, producers, female entrepreneurs that are out there listening right now? And that, what advice would you give them?
I'll jump in. One of the main things is don't compromise yourself. for nobody. You know, you don't compromise. You don't try to mold, you know, yourself into what people think that you need to be or what everybody else says should be. A woman should be, a woman producer, writer, executive should be. You know, you never compromise yourself. You pay attention to the people around you, and you got to protect yourself at the end of the day and make sure everybody around you has good intentions. You know, I have an amazing team. I wouldn't be nothing without my foundation. It all starts with a strong foundation. Jeff, you know, and a lot of people on this call have seen my career from the very, very beginning. You know, when I was just a little girl, like the relationship was built over time. So, you know, that business relationship and personal relationships, those don't happen overnight. You know, you got to see people for who they are first. But another thing is like working really hard and not taking no for an answer, and yeah, just staying true to who you are.
I'll jump in. I think piggybacking off of Gabby, like definitely your foundation and your team, like knowing who's around you and making sure that everyone that you have is with you because of your talent, and also knowing your worth. Again, like, you know, never taking no for an answer, and just, I feel like women need to like we have the same talent as much as men, and I feel like there's a big stereotype where, you know, men don't give the same well, not all the time, but you know, they don't give the same opportunities to women because of, you know, how they look at them. And I just feel like just saying don't take no for an answer. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just agreeing with Nija and her, like having a team that understands who you are is essential, and not compromising on what your worth is imperative, because when it comes to being on the stage, you know, and having the responsibility really of touching people in the audience, like it would be super awkward, like if you're not singing things that you absolutely believe in and this isn't coming from a real place. And then for me, it was never really even a question about like master ownership and owning my publishing. I think that in these days, there isn't really an excuse for not knowing like the business, like at least just a general overview, how you're making money, how you can build up your worth and leverage your accounts. Like, you know, if you don't own your masters or publishing, or at least have a fair situation, it won't be a conversation for you to have later on whether or not you can sell your catalog and get capital to start off whatever else you want to do, like streams of income. For me to be able to use my publishing and my masters when I guess, you know, want to, I have that control to do that, is just something that I can pass on, you know, through generations. And that's very important for me. Like, yeah.
I think it's important too, Rose, for you, like just for people to understand how hard you've gone for your team as well, you know, and for us as a company, and the fact that not only did you stand up for what was right and what you deserve, but you also did that and continue to do that for everybody around you. So I think, you know, it's important for people to know and understand that, because you've given that, you fought for it, but you've also given it back.
I think people forget that this is the music business, you know, especially people who are new, and, you know, you have all these dreams and aspirations, but, you know, a dream without a plan is just a dream and a vision, you know, and you can't follow through. And as women, we have to educate ourselves, and we have to realize, like, it's not all this, you know, this glamorous life that everybody thinks it is, you know, like, you know, when you're flying to places, who's paying for it? Like, you have to question everything. Who's paying for this? Who's paying for that? You know, what's really going on? What am I getting paid? What are my commissions like? You know, you have to be a beast. You have to be a beast about your business, and really be just about the business, you know, as you are about the music, and to try to keep it separately, you know, so you can continue to make it about the art. But you know, just because you're pretty and you know, you think you got talent, that's not enough. You need to
Oprah says she signs every check.
Yeah, that's facts. I wanted to piggyback off what all y'all were saying about the team stuff. Is how important that is just having someone or a group of people who are sole purpose is to fight every day on your behalf. And it's like, I feel like, well, Jay know, like, it's just when you working and building something, you gotta be paying attention to everything. Like what H.E.R was saying, it's like, where is this money going? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you might come off a little strange too, because people are not used to artists asking those questions. But it's like, if you keep seeing somebody often that's with you, especially if you're signed to a label, like assume or ask, like, yo, am I paying for this? Like, low key, like, is this on my budget? Because sometimes people, they just think that you know, or they don't care to tell you, and you'll realize like a month later, like you've been funding someone's existence in a space, and you're like, whoa, did I agree to that or whatever? And look at your deals. Like, me personally, I signed to a record label after working closely with Jay and Troy, but pay attention to your deal. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, don't take everybody's word. Read it yourself. Ask the lawyers. You know, a great attorney.
And so, hey, Pink, so you and Rose, both of you guys were independent artists that went to majors. Like, what are like the pros and cons of being independent and then going to a major? Like, and how do you guys look at that?
Independence is like the freedom. It's like being a tiger let out in the wild, and you can just do whatever. However, I think for me, it's very much similar in my situation because of the way that we all built it. You know, having the leverage to do what I want to do, but it's a layer of like extra people that you just didn't have to talk to before. So it's like whether it's an A&R, and then them trying to understand how you communicate, because at the end of the day, communication is going to be the biggest struggle for artists to a label, because labels, you got a lot of good labels, but even then, you come from total different places a lot of times. So it's like, if I'm trying to say like, yo, I want it done this way, sometimes with my team, I can just say it and they get it. But you got to go outside of your team to extend to the label. Sometimes you have to explain why so that they can see the full picture. It's like, yo, I'm doing it this way because people that are my audience, they're going to understand and interpret it this way. And it's like, oh, and it's like, it's a little annoying sometimes, but the overall big thing for me is the label is an extra extension. It's like only so far you can go sometimes quick. Like if you want to ramp, it's like starting a business. If you wanted to sell more chips, it's like, yo, you got to have a factory that can pump out the chips as much as you're selling. So it's like with independent, the problem for me is the access. Because sometimes you're still building relationships. So it's like access to different things. Like, oh, I want to shoot this video. I want to do it here. I don't know anybody. I don't have the right finances to the situation, but I don't want to like cut any corners. So what can I do? Now I can just say, yo, Atlantic, I need a budget for this. And they'll say, okay, you got to talk to this person, that person. And usually it's cleared. But to me, it's the access, like different things. It's a system that's been in place longer than I've been born. So there are pros. You get more pros, I'll say, when you do it a different way, or if it just happens to work. Like if you go from independent, you build it so much to the point where the label's like, yo, it's working. We just want to put some fire on it, with as in capital money.
So basically being able to go in a bit hot.
Yeah, because it's like, yo, they just want to be a part of whatever it is that's happening. But they're like, yo, let me just get a part of the magic. So I've only experienced the pros right now.
Yeah, just for me to add on to that, because that was absolutely how I feel. Like, a label, when you've built up who you are already, in front of the world, or in front of as much as I could reach it going independent, which was a lot. We toured a lot. I toured a lot, like 4 tours, and being able to really do all of the grassroots so that when the label does come, it's really just adding fuel to the fire. It takes you out of survival mode and puts you in a mode of like, okay, I have access. I can, maneuver how I want to maneuver. I can pay my friends, like my friends who have been here and, been my photographer, or been their engineering or whatever, like bandmates, everything like that. I can put bread in their pockets, which is like the greatest feeling. I think where the cons come in, just as a creator, I'm very like enclosed in my process. Like I don't even really get my like team for real involved unless they're like on the creative end until after the fact. But when you have a label and their whole deal is like, we just want to give you reach and just accessibility into all of these different regions. Well, this sound is popular over here and this is whatever. And I'm just like, okay, I'll try. I definitely am not, opposed to trying something, but will that likely hear the light of day? Maybe not, because I'm very much like, I can be very much particular about, the message I'm trying to convey. And that comes all the way through production to writing to engineering to everything. Like, I want the art to remain pure and not sacrifice that for like maybe the outer layers vision. So I haven't really ran into that yet because it's relatively new, but that's one of the things that gives me anxiety. I can say that. It feels good to say that out loud, but yeah.
Just jumping on Rose's point on the marketing end, I think a lot of the times artists or even marketers or labels use the word particular to describe someone like being honest about their work, but that's the truth of it. I think something I've really appreciated about my work, and then I'm sure I share this with many people who really feel for the artist community, is just sometimes the artists are the only ones being honest about everything. And I think our challenge as marketers and as just like partners in this process is choosing to be honest back and just making sure we're just informing and educating each other. And I think that's a part of the community that misses sometimes. It's like an us versus them, whether it's a label, distributor, or otherwise. But I think there are a few people, very wonderful people in this world, including the people in this chat, that are very much about the honesty and trying to build that.
Just to add to what Pink and Rose said, being there in the beginning with both of them, and the fact that, they trusted us with helping execute their vision and building it to a place where, they were both able to go into label situations and make a responsible deal where, they got terms that are unprecedented because of what we were able to build independently before, partnering with a label. So I think that there's
you don't get mad when it doesn't stay independent?
It's, there's fortunately, with Pink, who I still do a ton with, Rose, who fought very hard for us to continue to be involved in her project when, in partnering with Island, her managers who are phenomenal and fought very hard for us, is like, fortunately, we've been able to stay in our partners' lives in a real way, and still add value where we can and still participate. I think the ultimate goal for us as a company is figuring out how we build to a place where we have all of those resources that Rose and Pink mentioned, to not have to, necessarily upstream it to a label and be competitive. And I think, not to talk about you like you're not here, Troy, but I think that's the value of our partnership, right? Where it's like, collectively, and when we're able to do things like pull all of these people.
By the way, that's why I can ask you shit like that. You ain't mad?
You know, you got to be careful what you ask me though, because I'm gonna tell the truth, and it might get us all in trouble. But I think the value of all of our collective relationships and what we can do together is where it's moving to, right? When you can pull folks like this panel together to in such a trying time, the power in this panel and with these folks and our relationships here is really what it's all about. I think a quote from the documentary I saw recently was, I don't have problems, I have friends, and to me it's about relationships and getting to a place where we can all help each other, maintain as much ownership as we possibly can, right? Because that to me is something that when I was Baby Rose's age and and Pink Sweat's age, I didn't have as much knowledge about ownership and what that means and how it affects your career. And when I was coming into this and I was chasing Rodney Jerkins around getting food and water from him at the studio, I was starting to learn about ownership and those kinds of things. But I think that the real win for us is understanding the leverage that we have as a community and leveraging our partnerships, our friendships, to maintain as much ownership as we can.
Yeah, I just want to say something real quick to what Jay was just saying. Even the independence thing is like, for a lot of artists, I think you need to gauge, do you need to be signed or not? Because sometimes going to a major label might actually take something away from you if your vision technically doesn't align. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the finances could be good, but it's like they could give you a couple mil or whatever, but do you want that to be your last couple mil? Because then if it doesn't work,
or a few mil in the Pink Sweats case.
But the idea is gauging, do you need to be signed? And I feel like even with my internal team and then the human resources team having that discussion, it was like, obviously, Jay, he wasn't like extremely ecstatic about it, but
that's the real story, David.
but the situation, we had to evaluate like, what are your intentions? Because if you just want to make a couple $100 grand or whatever a year and be chill, sometimes you genuinely might not need a label, especially with a distributor, because you can make that. Like we built the model together, I would say.
Yep.
That you can see that. You'd be like, oh, like you can do that. That's like obtainable without a label. Like you want to go to the next stratosphere, you're like, yo, you just need bigger tools and bigger opportunities. So building with the independent thing to me is just, it's the dopest, because you really learn way more, because you can call up each other and talk about something. Like a label's usually not gonna admit when they don't know something. They're not gonna be like, oh, we don't know this, and tell you. They just wanna jerk you around until they figure it out. But when you go independent, you just have way more control of your life. You know what I'm saying? You can say, I don't really want to be in the studio today. I want to take the next couple months off. Nobody's bothering you. Streams are still racking in your income. And, the label situation is, I just look at it as a level of responsibility. So it's like, if you don't really want that responsibility of calling in, checking in, people always on your case as far as making sure you're doing what you got that bag to do, then I would say just stay independent. And it's definitely possible to live an abundant life. Like you can make a couple $100K. Some people make it every month, independent. So it's just, think about where you want to go and where you are.
What I love about this conversation and everything that's coming out, there's such a combination of business acumen and humanity. And what I love about the music industry is that everyone's an entrepreneur. Everyone started with nothing and has found their own way to create, whether it's create a beat or create a lyric or create a team around them to accomplish like the next step. And I'm like just so blown away and inspired by this group. So, thank you for being willing to hop on this Zoom, which I don't know if this like digital panel format has ever existed, but here it is. And I think we're going to keep it going. And Troy, to your question about like what can we do more, or what advice do we have for the women? I loved the women's comments. And first I want to say like, thank you to Jay, Ryan, and Troy for curating this group, because you all know that me and Maria over here are like, all right, where are the women? Where are the women? Like, let's get some more women. And you made sure that this happened and that there was representation and that voices were heard. That's so important, coming from men, to see women and pull them along and lift them up and say, oh, that executive producer role, what about Nija? Or what about Rose? She's doing her own stuff. And that next opportunity that could go to somebody else, like putting a woman forward for that is just like the best thing that a man could do for better everyone. And for women, I think it's the same. Like, if women can bring each other along, whether you're an artist or a producer or a songwriter, like how can we get more women to, queen make each other, lift each other up, and, share and promote, not really look at each other competitively, because, I think in music, like we're all in competition with ourselves, right? In life, like we're all in competition with ourselves. Like how much further can we push and where can we go? And I just hope that like through this community and this group, like we can be champions of, women, men, non-binary, like all humans that, have a shot to make something meaningful, to like have a clear vision and execute that vision as artists and as entrepreneurs. And, even for me as like a co-founder and president of our company, I could not be more grateful to be in this seat, because I don't really think in the music industry you see a lot of women who have these positions of power. And I think like to all the women here, like, why can't you be the CEO of your own company one day?
But I think it's important too, Suze, for people to just a little bit of background. When Suzy's been in it with me for 5 years and ran my investments and like did all the early stage technology investments. And when I went into Spotify, she basically just ran pretty much the Atom Factory portfolio by herself. And when after leaving Spotify, I told Suze I was thinking about starting this new company. I wanted to bring her along with the new company, and she said, "Okay, let's talk about it." And we started talking about it. She said, "I got one condition." She said, "I'm co-founder," and of course I said yes, but I would be stupid not to say yes. But I think what's important about that is the fact that you knew your worth. And I think to Nija's point about understanding your value, to H.E.R's point, to Baby Rose's point, is about understanding your value. And what I see with a lot of underrepresented groups, and whether it's in corporate America or whether it's in the music business, we go in not understanding our value and not understanding what our self-worth is. And, there's a lot of talk about disparity between male and female salaries. I've seen black and white salaries where I'm like blown away, where I'm like, okay, this person's added a tremendous amount of value to a company, but yet this person, they don't feel the self-worth to go in and ask for a raise, or put themselves out there to say, I'm going to start my own company or go to another company that's going to value it. So I think, you know, you taking that that initiative and saying, look, this is what it is. And I think that's important for people to sort of understand that this wasn't given to you, that, you know, this was something that you came into the seat and earned.
I do go. I just want to say goodbye. And before I go, I just wanted to say, just to piggyback off of what you guys are saying. I think also another thing, this is kind of a side note, but as far as women, you know, in my experience, like if we want people to respect us, we also have to respect each other. And when you know your worth, you don't have to tear somebody else down or dim somebody else's light to shine. And I think that's where it starts too, is knowing that there's room for everybody. And, you know, you just have to be the best you can be. I just think when we want something, we have to take it. Yeah, all our groups have to take it. And, yeah, so I'm here. I appreciate you guys in this conversation. I'm about to be out. I got some more calls.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Troy,
Awesome.
on what H.E.R said about, you know, taking it, y'all kind of don't play fair, because like 10, 15 years ago, right, we started seeing a shift where like everybody that was taking over the music business came from London. It was like, it seemed like everybody now it's Philly, y'all slick. Because if you look around, it's Philly posted up everywhere.
Let's go, Philly.
Philly.
All around, I'm seeing Philly in all these different companies, all posted up. And I know it's right here. These three right here got like a mastermind plan going on. I feel
you honorary, Rodney. You honorary, man.
I'm close. I'm right there. Hey, yo, I'm right at the bridge. You know, I'm right at the bridge.
You right there.
Well, look, this has been amazing. And so any of the panelists who have to go, feel free. We want to be respectful of your time. We do want to answer a few questions from the audience. So whoever can stick around, definitely, please feel free to stick around. But thank you guys so really amazing today. And I'll turn it over to you, Maria.
I got it. There are a couple questions from the audience. Feel free to keep upvoting. Also, too, don't forget that you can actually join. We got a lot of feedback from the last few panels about being able to join a community group, and we made a Slack little community that you can all share music, Instagram accounts, shameless self-promotion. So please join it. Just post it in the group. Question for the artists. How do you avoid being put into a box? Is it difficult to transition from session to session? And how do you avoid that overall?
Oh shit. Okay. I would say to avoid being put in a box, you have to keep people guessing. Like, I love a lot of different genres, and I love to listen to a lot of different artists, a lot of different music. And so when I'm creating, I like to bear all of those things in mind. I know there's nothing really new under the sun, is what they say. But you can innovate, you know, and make your stamp in the world, you know? That's how you avoid being in a box, in my opinion.
I say, I agree with that. I also add on and I say, have clear definition, like from the gate. Like when somebody see you, when you're interacting, always push your own agenda because everybody's pushing theirs. That's how I look at it. It's like coming into the music industry, I didn't really know much about a lot of stuff because of my background. Like I grew up in church, so that's really all I knew was church music. And it's like, but my introduction to music outside of that was like Little Bow Wow, Maroon 5. It's like just all random. So it's like for me, I feel like the way you break the boxes, you just keep pushing the boundary. Like, do something different. Like, every single time. Like, people think they figured you out. Nah, you drop something left. You know what I mean? And then, but do it with quality, because I feel like that's the thing. It's like, if you don't do it with quality, then that's how you strengthen the box that you get put in. It's like, oh, see, that was trash. That's why you should stay in your lane, you know? So my biggest thing is, whatever you do, be authentic with yourself. You don't have to prove anything to anybody at the end of the day. Just make the music you want to make, because more than likely there are like 100,000 people just like you. As far as like ear, like people like different things. We're in the greatest era of music, in my opinion, as far as the listeners. People are so open. People are not listening only to rap. They're not only listening to R&B. They're not only listening to all. They're listening to everything. So just do you. Don't be afraid. That's how you break the box.
Piggybacking off of that, how does that relate to the writers and producers on the panel as well? Just Rodney, you know, Dion, Tay, Nija, you know, y'all all came into the game with one, you know, not one, but just a signature sound. So how do you know for Tay, you know,
Yeah.
how did you evolve that moving forward in Nija? And then for, you know, Dion and for Rodney, how do you maintain that throughout, you know, 20 plus years to keep that going and still be, you know, some of the most sought out, you know, writer producers now, even, you know, arguably even hotter than when you first started?
That's a great question too, Ryan.
I feel like for me, well, it's just basically, for me being a producer, I feel like it's more about what artists I work with. You know, like if I'm put to a different challenge, I'm gonna have to, you know, like kind of like go for it. You know, just say like the Beyonce thing, or like even the Miley Cyrus thing with Mother's Daughter, just being put to the challenge to, you know, kind of like try different things. I kind of feel like that was kind of like my place of showing what I can do outside of the box, you know, especially just me being a kind of like a hip hop trap rap producer. You know, it's just one of those things where I feel like working with the artist kind of challenged me to do different things when it comes to creating a different sound, you know?
Yeah, for me, I feel like that's definitely a challenge for me every day that I go through, because I feel like me being Black, when I go into pop sessions, like, you know, some of the producers or the artists want to do a hip hop or an R&B song. It's like, but that's not what you usually do. You know, so I feel like they're putting me in a box, but I think the main thing is to stand my ground, or to be like, well, you know, maybe I can add a little flavor, like my flavor into yours, but you know, that's not the only thing that I do. And, you know, I do listen to all types of music. I don't only listen to urban music. So I think it's mainly helping the artist out on whatever they're doing, and just not sticking to what they put you in. But yeah, that's what
I love that. You just say exactly what I wanted to say. When you're Black, they definitely do a lot of times. I don't think it's intentional, but they just like, yo, let's do this. I'm like, nah. I like country too. Let's you know what I mean? Let's get up out here, you know what I mean?
And then, you know, Dion and Rodney, how did you, you know, recreate yourself for so many years to get out of those boxes that I assume people tried to put you in early on?
I go. You know, I've been doing a lot of listening right now, and you know, the key thing that keeps coming to my mind is, you know, the music industry has to probably will be one of the few industries I can count on my hand where you could just wake up one day and be a part of it with no education. And I think it took me even a while to educate myself on what I was doing. I think a lot of those years I made beats, and I was lucky enough to be talented to make good beats. But the more I educated myself on the history of music, the history of production, the history of production techniques, the genres, how they existed, why they existed, I began to challenge myself in a different way to say, if I can't make any sound I hear in my head, I'm not a producer. I'm more of a musician, beat maker, songwriter. So, you know, the boxes that we talk about, you know, we'll talk about women in this conversation as if women are not equal. You know, we talk about minorities as if we're not equal. And a lot of that, you know, is we can overcome a lot of the perception and those perspectives with education on what it is we really do and how we do it. So going back to the point that you're making, which is I learned that every artist I needed to work with needed their own sound to define them. It wasn't about my sound. And although I inclined to different specific things, soulful melodies or so on and so forth, the sonics, I began to learn that I can give each artist their own sonic identity if I have enough palette to choose from, which can only come from being a student and putting myself in situations to learn other things, which is really the reason why I can be here year after year after year since the early 90s. And, you know, I believe that the people that we see have careers learn enough that we don't look at them in a box. I believe we begin to look at them and just take it for what they do at that moment as an artist. The same way we take an artist. I believe that producers and writers, we're artists in our own right, but we give the stage to the front person.
Yeah, I agree with No ID. You know, you're going into the artist's world, and you know doing a Brandy record is completely doing something different. When Troy called me to do Gaga, when we did Telephone, yeah, you're going to hear my color in the beginning of it because I like hearts, right? But once you get to like the drive of it, I'm in Gaga's world. You know what I mean? And I'm doing the best of my ability to complement what she brought to the table. And when I go and do Sam Smith, when I do Stay With Me, I'm in his world. And I got to do best what I do to add those colors. And, you know, and I think as you create a career, you know, the artist is always in the front. The artist is always in the front. And we just there to assist the artist. We just there to add the colors around them. And so I'm like, I believe like you just got to play your role. You know what I mean? In the beginning, when we first started out, you know, Ryan said, yeah, you had a sound. You don't even know that you got a sound. When you just creating, you just creating. You're not even thinking about that part. You just going in the studio and you making music. And then you develop a sound. It's like, oh, wow, I like the way this sounds, and it becomes part of your art. But then as you progress and as you evolve in your career, and as great artists like Baby Rose and H.E.R and all these different artists that you begin to work with, you know, they actually start adding something to what you do because they have a sound. And when you combine your sound with them, it becomes like this perfect type of this perfect baby that's born. So that's to me, from as a producer, the challenge is always just get in the lab with the artist and then let that baby be born and see what comes out of it. And look, I mean, it's been proven over time. Like we just saw like a big hit last year with Lil Nas X, where it was like that came unexpectedly, where country and trap kind of combined, right? I mean, throughout time, that's what it's been about. It's been about how you can bring a sound to an artist, morph it into something new, and that becomes the next. But I'm at the place where I don't want my song to sound like the last song I just did. You know, I want every song to just be completely different from the next. So, and that's going to help me keep pushing myself and evolving as until I want to stop doing this.
Well,
Yo,
look,
can I ask Rodney a question?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can I ask Rodney a question?
Of course.
What do you feel like as a producer? you feel like you know when you produce something, you're like, all right, this is it. This is one. Like we got a joint, or is it once the writing happens?
It's interesting because it's kind of both. Like sometimes, like if I'm working on an idea, I'll run around my house. You would think I'm like 5 years old. I'll be hitting the walls and cheering and high-fiving people or whoever's down. I got it. You just start going crazy. You know what I mean? Because you know, like you feel like it's game time, and you created something that you feel like you can't wait for the world to hear. And then other times it's like, yo, until that pen is on it, you don't know. Until that right pen and that right melody and that right lyric is on it, it may not even be what it is. It might just be the hottest instrumental in the world. You know what I mean? It's a combination. A song, a full song is both worlds combined.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I just want to be respectful of everyone's time. So we're going to move some of these other questions to the Slack group. I'm going to post a link one more time, everyone, but when this chat closes, you won't be able to participate anymore, but feel free to join the Slack group and be able to, continue to exchange ID handles, businesses, job opportunities, things like that. But I just want to do a big thank you to all the panelists today. We really appreciate your time, and this is just very moving for all of us. And
this is incredible. Really, really good. Thank you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Later.
Cheers, everyone.
All right.